And welcome to another edition of State of the Eagles with FGCU Athletic Director Ken Cavanaugh. I'm David Moulton. It's our first one of 2018, but obviously not of the 17-18 athletic season. And we always have to basically, so when we last left off, it's kind of like, a soap opera when it goes on hiatus. Okay, this is like the Monday edition after the Friday show.
It also puts people who haven't seen the last show, go back and go to our website and they can see it.
Exactly. When we last left you, I believe the last fall team was still in action. The women's soccer program had just made the NCAA tournament.
Correct, and they went up to Gainesville, which it seems we have a 50-50 chance of being sent regionally and going to Gainesville. And we played well. We were in a position through halftime. I believe the score may have been scoreless or 1-0 at the most. And we eventually did lose 3-0, but played very competitive. And I look at it from maybe 6 years ago when we first made the NCAA tournament. I think we got outshot like 20-1. We just basically pulled back and hoped that we could keep them from scoring and maybe somehow get to penalty kicks. And the style of play and where we are right now with our talent level, you look at the teams that made the College Cup. Two of those teams, Duke, we played a very tight game in Gainesville 2 years ago in the second round of the NCAA. And then this past year, South Carolina, who made it to the Cup, we were tied with them 1-1 late in the game. I think there was like 12 minutes left, and we still wonder if there was really a penalty kick that should have been given. So our talent is really increased under Jim and his staff, and with that, we're looking forward to next year already.
And this women's soccer team making history by going on the road to win an ASUN championship. A lot of titles here, a lot of banners, but this one actually doing something that no other women's soccer team had done. And the accolades continue to come in for Jim Blankenship.
Well, everybody knows that follows our program. Jim's building, like a number of our coaches, from scratch, a team to the level that we play on. We beat Arizona this year out at Arizona, who wound up finishing third in the Pac-12, which had the two championship teams in Stanford and UCLA, and they tied UCLA, and we beat them at their own facility in Tucson. So Jim, for I think it's the third straight year, was voted within the top 10 coaches in the country, which is not only well-deserved, certainly a number of our coaches, if other sports had those types of rankings, especially based on resources provided, we know that we'd have a lot of the coaches under consideration. So congratulations to Jim and to the ladies that helped him make that achievement be possible.
And the fall season, meanwhile, past the midway point, the winter season, for every single team. We'll start with basketball with the women, who are the #1 mid-major program in the country. So in one poll, they're being recognized as, as well as you could be recognized. For whatever reason, the coaches and the Associated Press, the media, in the national poll, not nearly as loving of the Eagles as the mid-major poll, which is collegeinsider.com and ESPN.
Unfortunately, as we know, those are popularity polls, and not only the popularity with the larger schools have a tendency to get more exposure. We're not on the television other than ESPN3 for all our ASUN games. You get in a situation they have more votes, and the number of people voting for the larger Power 5 and groups of 5 schools create more opportunities for them to gain votes. So our ultimate measurement of a poll will be at the end of the year, hopefully winning a conference championship and getting a better seed. And when you look at the results that we've had, beating top 25s at the time, Kentucky and DePaul, blowing away a Big Ten team in Illinois, and beating a very, very strong mid-major South Dakota State, who I believe Louisville finally lost yesterday, but prior to that, I believe their closest game of the year was at home to South Dakota State by like 4 points. And I believe Louisville also beat my alma mater, Notre Dame, by like 40, which doesn't happen very much if it's ever happened. So we know we've played good teams. The committee's following us, and the popularity polls are nice, and if we do well, we're certainly going to broadcast it, but we hope that the end result will be an opportunity to get to the NCAA and do so with a better seed.
The FGC women right now, they are receiving votes in both polls, both in the AP and the USA Today coaches poll, 2-1 against teams that are considered in the top 50. And I think it's either Harvard or Kentucky. One of them's right around 100. If they're inside the top 100, the women are 4-3 against top 100 teams. If they fall outside it, they are 3-3. But they're on a nice winning streak, and they will have a first-place showdown, which we'll talk about a little bit later on, with Jacksonville. The men, meanwhile, were very inconsistent the last time we spoke, and they figured it out.
Yeah, I think the road trip before and after Christmas to Wichita State, where we played tremendous, and we were in a position where we were tied with them at the last media timeout. And I've been there when I was at Bradley 13 times, and I think we won twice. It's not an easy place for anybody to win, and they've gotten off to a really good start in their new conference in the American. We had some calls, a little question mark. I thought one of the three gentlemen was going to get an honorary letter jacket by Wichita State at the end of the game, but nonetheless, it was, I think, a great experience and environment for our players, and allowed them to know that they play well, then we're in a position where we compete at a highest level. Then we go to Rhode Island, and we're up late in the first half, and unfortunately we had some turnovers that turned the game away from us being as close as we were against Wichita, but they're undefeated. Currently Rhode Island is in the Atlantic 10, and I believe they're ranked like in the top 10 or 15 in the RPI now. So those two games, I think, were measuring sticks for our team, and then as they started ASUN play, I think that confidence level's built. It certainly didn't hurt to start off with 3 straight home games. Now, once you play those home games, you got to win them, because you're going to be turning around and have more road games. But we're off to a really great start, and I think the element of going into this rest of this next week could really put us in a great situation.
The men, along with the women, in a stretch in which they have to play 6 out of 8 on the road after starting with the 3 at home. So it's the good news, bad news. Fortunately for the men, at the time that we tape, they have not lost an ASUN road game going back 2 seasons. At the time that we tape, they have a game at UNF coming up in the middle of this week. Swimming and diving, meanwhile, closer to the finish line than are the basketball teams.
Yeah, Dave has continued the success of our program as he's now in his second year. We had a really nice win. I think it was the 7th straight time we've beaten Miami when we went over to race the Canes this past weekend. So we're now getting into this coming weekend. We have an opportunity for our senior day, compete against FIU, who was Conference USA champions last year. So it's a really good benchmark. And then another 3 or 4 weeks, they'll compete for hopefully another CCSA championship up at the University of Georgia. So with that, and hopefully some good qualifying times, we look forward to having some additional ladies compete at the NCAA championships come March.
And the last time we spoke, Night at the Nest had just occurred. I don't think you had finished adding up the result. And considering how much money was raised, I could see why it took you a little extra time.
Well, we were really concerned with Irma and the effect of how that would handle in this economy. But mobile bidding, where people outside of Southwest Florida become much more involved. Great group of folks, both donors as well as auction bidders, and we actually pretty much reached the same level we had last year, which was a record. I think we were off by maybe 2,000. Last year was 577,000. This year was 575, and those are extremely needed dollars as we continue to build our program resources. For those who don't recall or remember, we're in our 21st year as a school. Our oldest alum is basically 42, and our average alum is 33. So those additional dollars that we can find in special events and other opportunities really allow us to continue to build our program base of resources, and we look forward to doing so again next year. But it's not just the money we raise, it's a great night. And for people who haven't been here before, we already encourage you. We already know it's November 30th for next year, but it's been a great time here in the arena. It's just an opportunity to intermingle with our coaches and our student athletes, and it's a fundraiser for us as much as a fundraiser. In a number of instances, it's the first time some people have ever been to campus.
The academic success, last time I believe we spoke at length about the Community Service Award and finishing in the top 3 nationally, that FGCU was recognized. Your academic success, in which once again the athletic department continues to outperform the general student body.
Really proud, and again, what we're supposed to do is balance academics and athletics, and our coaching staff has done a great job first going out and recruiting wonderful young men and women who collectively have achieved success. We're in a position working with Kelly Brock and our academic staff and the faculty members on campus, putting together, especially when they have to travel. People don't sometimes remember that they're trying to do these successful things in the classroom amidst a very busy schedule here, but then at times missing classes and having really understanding professors work with them to catch up on the work that they need to do. So we had another 3.27, and I don't remember the exact number for the undergrads, but I think last semester it was like a 3.08 that we compared to. So we're not just barely beating, and we're doing really well, and we take pride in that. We need to continue to contribute to the university's successes well beyond just our athletic endeavors, and we're really proud that we've been able to do that now for 17 straight semesters.
I'll never forget when you were in the Sweet 16 on the men's side in the basketball tournament, and the morning of the game against Florida, and I remember coming down off the elevator in the Dallas hotel, and there were 3 basketball players that were off to the side in a study session at the morning of the game against Florida. And I remember thinking to myself, normally when you make the Sweet 16, you can literally say to anybody, I'll get to it when I get to it. And there it was the morning of the game, and there were 3 guys in a study hall that was taking place off in a side room in the Dallas hotel.
Well, it's you got to get it done. So, again,
You
it comes down
really drive them hard. That was the other thought I had.
Yeah, it's just, again, an ability to remind them and balance them. And as we know, very few of them are going to make enough resources like a Chris Sale that once they're done their career here, they're going to make more money at the next level. It's so difficult, injuries, and just the numbers and percentages are so difficult to get to that point. So we're looking forward to them having successes in their chosen endeavors, and that starts with hopefully doing well in the classroom.
All right. Last Saturday in January is a big doubleheader at the time of taping. Well, FGCU and Jacksonville either tied for first on the women's side or first and second on the men's side. This a really big day and night doubleheader.
Oh, for sure. And on the women's side, JU and Stetson have been the 2 teams that we've been battling with for the top for the last 3 or 4 years. And what we've done, as we talked about earlier in the non-conference, lends us to hopefully having confidence that we can do what we need to at home and get that number 1 seed. And on the men's side, same thing. We've, as you mentioned, had great success on the road, and we need to continue to make Alico a really tough place for teams to come into, and not just for the men. We really need fans to look at coming here for the doubleheader and getting an opportunity to see a great women's team play, and then resting up in between games, and then getting ready to do the men's game. But it's an opportunity for us that we need to take advantage, because we'll have to go back on the road and play those teams within another week's time.
Yeah, Jacksonville and North Florida. It's kind of weird, actually, the last couple of years. You guys end up playing them twice within a span of 7 to 10 days, both of them. So, it's weird seeing them both twice in such a short period of time. And JU on the women's side, UNF on the men's side lately have been such big rivals. But also Saturday the 27th is a big day. You mentioned Chris Sale earlier. I know he and his wife are involved in a charity which has become near and dear not just to them but to FGCU and Laces of Love.
Yeah, for those who have not been exposed to it before, it's a great way to help out the community for less fortunate individuals who we take for granted, a lot of us, just in terms, okay, our shoes don't feel comfortable, I want another pair of shoes because they look nice. There's still folks in the community that have to wear hand-me-downs, or in a position if they have a hole coming into their shoe, they wear it until it totally wears out. So Jeannie Nealon from Collier County and her husband Don have done a phenomenal job starting this Laces for Love program. Breanne first got involved, and Chris has jumped on board to support her with this, and I think this is like our 4th year that we've done. I think last year our fans combined for something like 500 pairs of shoes were donated, and like $2,000, something along those lines, and we'd love to equal or better that again this year. So we'll be presenting that, and people can make their donations, not just at the game on Saturday, but also there's opportunities for people to work with us or to Jeannie to help out throughout the year.
Now, if you donate a pair of shoes for Laces for Love, you should make them red, because I believe, me, I always have the wrong tie on the ESPN3 broadcast. You guys do a green out, a blue out, a white out, a red out. I don't know if you've noticed, I never have the right colors.
And you don't have to wear red shoes, you can wear red socks. That's what the players will wear. Yes, this is our annual American Heart Association game. Donna Sublet, one of our great donors, has been very active with Dr. Mitch Cordova, who's from our Health Professions Dean, and in a position where, again, just another way for us to be community service partners and create an awareness for something that unfortunately far too many families have to deal with in a very difficult situation. So the awareness for that, and for people to understand how important it is for us to continue to monitor our own health and that of others. So we'll have a red out on the 27th. It's a little different, but we're not playing a team that's wearing red like NJIT, so we'll be in fine shape with that color that day.
And then on Monday, the 29th, another event.
We have got a new event that's part of the ASUN Student Athlete Advisory Committee that everybody in the league is working toward. It's called Project Life Movement. It's basically cheek swabs to help people be able to possibly be donors down the road, and just an opportunity that, it doesn't take a lot of time, but you never know, it could be any of us or our loved ones that could use a donation of a vital organ, and if maybe some of us could consider consider doing that. It may be a way to give life to others, and in a scenario where the student athletes are very much involved running this particular activity, and we look forward as a first time to make it very successful.
Little off the field news, so to speak. We started talking about women's soccer and wrapping up last year. Last episode, the men had just been bounced from the ASUN tournament. Some tremendous seniors moving on to other things. Some of those other things may be soccer, and in fact, the MLS draft has just taken place. And at the time of taping, you have at least one selected.
Nico Samoyeva, I think I pronounced it right. Nico, apologize, but Nico is someone who, as his captain prior to him, and Rodrigo Saravia, they're both from Guatemala, and he was just chosen in the 4th round by the New England Revolution. And opportunity to start his pro career. We've got a number of other of his teammates that are hoping will get chances either in the MLS or a couple other leagues in the course of the next couple weeks, and have additional signings that we can talk about. So Nico keeps us going. We've also got Aaron Guillen, who's with FC Dallas, who's been in the pro ranks the last 2 or 3 years, and Daniel Stenise plays over in Germany. So it's a successful program producing individuals just like we have in baseball, and with Whitney Knight, and certainly with Brooke Youngquist-Sweat, where we've looked to have individuals get that chance and go as long as they can enjoying the sport that they love.
And as is often the case, as one season is going along, another season is either underway or just about to get underway. I've already seen news and notes about baseball, softball, beach volleyball, you name it.
Yeah, tennis has actually gone and played the last couple weekends. Golf will go out and start playing, I think, next week. The second week of February is when softball starts, and then baseball starts the following week. And then beach, I think maybe it's at the end of February, early March, that the beach volleyball teams get going. So there's a overlap probably of 3 or 4 weeks. Great opportunity for people to find their sport that they like and to come out and root for another Eagles team. Keeps our busy season for our staff, Mike Miller, and all the people involved in sports information and game management. A lot of teams from up north enjoying our fine weather to come down and play us. And so look to our website, and you could certainly get all these different teams and find plenty to do over the next couple months.
And baseball and softball usually start at home. The softball team, I know, goes on the road after the first couple of weeks. They go on the road seemingly for about 3 weeks. And the men try to schedule their games in and around spring training in these parts as best they can. Now, you'll correct me if I'm wrong. Baseball picked second by the media or coaches in the ASUN?
You're ahead of me. I haven't seen that yet.
I believe baseball
Yeah.
picked second, softball picked third.
Yeah.
And tennis programs, I believe, picked either first or second.
I think the men were picked first solo, and the women were picked to share first, or the other way around. But they were both picked first, but one of them was picked with UNF top, which is the 2 teams that have been battling the last couple of years for the regular season and for the conference tournament championship. So we're excited for hopefully another great spring. We certainly had a great spring in 17, and there's just a lot going on. We also have, for those in Charlotte County, on February 20th, I believe it's a Tuesday, Coach Stillett, who's a native of Punta Gorda, myself, and a few others are going to go up there. They've got a building bridges with baseball activity where at Charlotte Sports Park, some members of the Rays and some members of the Charlotte Stone Crabs are going to be there in the morning. I think at the event's like 10:30 till noon, and we look forward to be up there and have an opportunity to let them know that we certainly are Southwest Florida's team, and Charlotte County's part of us. And that's also where we got All-American Jake Knoll, too.
Yeah, needless to say, Charlotte County has been pretty good to FGCU, especially in baseball. Have we missed anything?
No, there's just a lot going on, and the element of this time of the year is getting our winter teams far into the postseason and getting the spring teams off to a great start. And we really, again, thank everybody from those who are involved with Night at the Nest and just people that just keep helping us grow our green and blue name and all our abilities to be successful.
Saturday, January 27th, a big doubleheader, the women at 4, the men at 7 against Jacksonville. At the time of taping, the women, FGCU and Jacksonville, tied for first in the conference standings, and FGCU just a game ahead of the Dolphins, who are a bit of a surprise team this year so far in the ASUN. So a big doubleheader this coming Saturday. And one of the things, you mentioned that both the men and women started by playing 3 in a row at home. You only play 7 home games, so there's only 4 opportunities left before the playoffs to see the men and women. I mean, it really does go by quickly.
Yeah, again, a scenario where when you're having success, you hope it goes by quickly. But yeah, the opportunity to watch our teams are limited. We hope that we can extend it to potentially as many as 3 additional games for both the men and women in the postseason. Because for those who don't know, the ASUN, the higher seeded team, gets to host each round. So we've had that before. It makes it for an exciting couple of weeks, but hopefully we can do that this year again.
So for Ken Cavanaugh, I'm David Moulton. Thanks for watching State of the Eagles. Make sure email in any questions or comments. We'll be sure to address them on our next State of the Eagles. Thanks for watching.
God bless and go Eagles.